Welcome back to another week and another project. I found this great vintage dresser at an estate sale a couple weekends ago, and I was really excited when I saw it because I recognized it. I have already refinished this piece once before. You might remember it from another one of my videos. I do get excited to do a piece that I have done previously because it allows me another go at being creative and getting to see what's underneath, envision something different, and take a piece in a different direction. So this piece doesn't have any sort of maker's mark. It doesn't have a date stamp. My best guess is that it was probably from the 50s or 60s. It is an older piece, but it's really well made. And because I did redo this piece previously, I do know that the veneer is really nice underneath. Obviously, currently it's in that vintage blonde stain that was really common in this decade. You can see there's quite a bit of wear just from over the years, but overall it's in really good shape. The finish is wearing down in the front. There is some crackling finish on the top drawer. And this was a problem on that other dresser that I redid that was identical to this. These handles wear down and cause grooves in the drawer fronts and burn through that finish pretty easily. Plans can always change, but what I think I want to do with this piece is actually strip it down and recreate that light wood blonde look, but in a much more modern way. I'm going to get all the finish off, and then I will assess whatever damage I have, and I'm going to work to lighten that wood grain. I want to try to keep it all wood grain, not paint any portions of this. Let's see if I'm going to be able to achieve what I'm hoping to achieve. Follow along to find out. Before I start cleaning these drawers and disassembling them, while I still have them in order, I do want to go ahead and label the positioning of each drawer on the back. That way there's no confusion once everything starts to get all jumbled up. So this drawer came out on the left side and it was the third drawer. So I'm gonna put L3 just on the back of that drawer. And after I'm all done with that, I can start taking the hardware off, cleaning the drawer fronts, and assessing for any damage on the entire piece. You can really see right here where that handle has really damaged the veneer on the storefront. I mean, it's eaten all the way through that first layer of veneer. And the previous dresser that I did, that was the exact copy of this, it wasn't quite this bad, but the fact that both of them had it tells me that this hardware was really an issue, and I'm sure it did it to all of them that they put this hardware on. So because of that fact, I will probably switch out the hardware, at least on the 3 center drawers that have that pole that hangs down and rubs. I would have preferred to keep the vintage hardware. However, I just don't want more damage done to a piece like this. It's already lasted so many years, so many decades, and I want to put something back on it that is going to allow it to continue to stand the test of time. I did a test strip of acetone on the body of this dresser, and it did eat through the finish pretty nicely. So I think I am going to opt to use acetone to strip this piece down This will just reduce the amount of sanding that I will have to do and protect the veneer a little bit better. The acetone has been working pretty well on all the drawer fronts, but I think I am going to switch gears and use the actual stripper product on the top and possibly on the sides. The top has a thicker layer of protective finish over it, which makes sense. And I think that stripper will just eat through it a little bit better. Not to mention, while I'm using the acetone, I'm going through quite a bit of product as well as quite a bit of steel wool. It's working really well. It's just using up a lot of material to do so. So I'm going to pivot when it comes to the rest of the body of the dresser. After using that heavy duty chemical stripper, I did go ahead and use an after wash to clean up all of the surfaces of this piece. This after wash step is not necessary after using the acetone, just the heavier duty furniture stripper. I did find that the acetone was definitely a little bit messier of a process to remove this finish than the chemical stripper. They both got the job done. I just had to use quite a bit more acetone than I did when I was using the other product. Once the surface is completely stripped and dried, I am still going to have to sand all of the surfaces very, very carefully. Here I am using a 220 grit sandpaper. I'm looking to remove any of the residual residue that might be left over from that stripper. It's never going to get all of it off. I find that I always have to sand at least lightly afterwards and go over all of the surfaces pretty carefully. Because I'm working with veneer here, I am being extra careful around the edges so that I'm not sanding through that veneer too much. For the drawer faces and tight spaces, I find my detail sander to be an excellent tool. It helps to get in around those trim pieces and around the grooves, but I am still having to do quite a bit of hand sanding with this piece. I want to keep the integrity of all of the curved details on those trim pieces, as well as fit the sandpaper in areas that my sander would not fit. Like I mentioned previously, my plan for this dresser is actually to kind of mimic its original styling, but in today's modern world. So it's very common in that decade to have those heavily stained, painted, blonde pieces. It really masked pretty much all of the wood grain. It did not show through hardly at all with those blonde finishes. I want to take that idea and bring it into this decade. So what I'm going to do is, now that the pieces are completely down to the raw wood, I am going to do a lighter paint wash. I have just a tan paint that I'm going to water down quite a bit, and I'm going to add a little dab of green to that paint wash. This piece has a lot of red undertones, and I'm looking to neutralize those. And with green being opposite on the color wheel from red, it's going to help to mute those tones down a little bit. This more modern finish is by no means going to look like the older finish. I want to take that similar idea, that similar feeling, and bring it into today's day and age. So in a separate container, I'm going to add mostly this tan color and just the smallest dab of green. This tan color that I have right now, I've been using on past projects, so it's already pretty watered down because I just empty it back into the container to save for future pieces. So I don't have to add as much water as I would if it were just straight paint. But this green is really, really thick, so I am gonna add a little bit of water at least. I'm gonna give everything a really decent stir. I probably overfilled this container. I'll just have to be careful. I tend to be a little clumsy with paint, hence the complete mess my shop is, but that's okay. You can start to see these green undertones starting to really mix in with that tan paint. The top is gonna be the trickiest area to do on this piece just because it's such a large surface. And I really don't want to have any streaky lines or anything like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some water and I'm gonna mist down the entire surface so that it's nice and damp. Apply the paint wash going all in one direction, same as the wood grain, and wipe it back. You can see as this water hits this top, all the red undertones that are in this wood grain. With the paint wash completely dry now, I do want to go ahead and add a durable top coat to everything, just so that it can last decades and decades more. I am going to use a water-based polyurethane in a satin sheen. Use it all the time. It's a really simple product to apply, especially with a sprayer. And these days, these water-based products are so durable. They've really come a long way. I was going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on whether or not I wanted to create a base for this dresser. One of the issues that I knew I would run into was matching the wood species. And after sanding everything back and seeing all the trim boards are made of like a poplar or something like that, it is already pretty high contrast with the veneer that's surrounding the rest of the surface of the dresser. So I think I'm going to lean into it. I think I am going to go ahead and build a set of legs out of poplar to match some of those other trim elements. This will also lift the dresser up a little bit, make it a little bit taller. I was debating for a while whether I was going to chop the original base down right along this natural line and remove this front piece. However, I think I am going to keep it intact. That way, if anyone ever wants to remove the legs that I create now in the future, they can do so pretty easily. All they'll have to do is unscrew them and it's back to the way it was initially. So because I'm doing that, I want to make sure that my base is the exact dimensions. I did go ahead and route a channel right across the top just to add a little bit of dimension to the actual base itself. With all my leg pieces cut down to size, I can go ahead and do a fine finish sand on all of the pieces. I really want to make sure they're nice and smooth to the touch. And next comes the joinery. I am going to hold these together with pocket holes on the inside of the bases. Again, this is a pretty simple way of building sturdy legs for dressers. It also means that it's easy to remove or customize if anyone wants to do so down the line in the future. A tip I always like to use when I'm assembling these pieces is a good set of clamps. It just acts as another set of hands and holds things steady while you're trying to drive that screw in. I'm going to apply a quick coat of the paint wash to this base that I just built so that it matches the rest of the trim on the dresser. I think I would like to try making my own handles for this piece, for this dresser. It's just so difficult to find vertical handles that will cover the existing holes and or damage that the original handles did to this piece. Also, if I go ahead and use this lighter wood, it will even more so tie in to the rest of the lighter wood on the piece, and all of it will look a lot more purposeful. After I finished driving in those last couple of screws to hold the new hardware on that I built, I really want to make sure to thoroughly vacuum clean the inside and the outside of all these door boxes, freshen them up, make sure they're free of any dust, residue, dirt, grime, all of that. And once that's completed, that's it. The dresser is done. Let's take a look back as a little reminder of what this piece started out as. It was so dirty. It had quite a bit of scuffs, dings. The finish was failing in multiple areas. Those handles were a problem, and it just was not a very attractive looking piece of furniture initially. But look at it now. It's such an interesting piece of furniture to look at. I really like the lighter wood pieces and how they play off of the veneer. I think of it like highlights. I think it just adds dimension and visual interest to a piece that was very monotone before. I like the different variations in the wood tone on those solid trim pieces on the side. I know not everyone likes those characteristics in wood, but to me it just screams, I'm a unique solid wood piece of furniture and I'm something special. Let me know what you think down below. Did you like the handles that I was able to come up with? I'm pretty proud of them. I think they're something interesting and they're completely unique. No other piece of furniture has them, one of a kind. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.